Hey guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to another stream and a new series. A new series working on this guy right there. That is our MPC 1969 Dodge Charger. It is a new kit that I am building and it's a 124 scale, I believe. 124, 125, 125th scale. We're going to be doing a special little thing with this kit. We'll run the intro. We'll get started, okay? Okay, so we are back and we're going to break open this kit. We're going to have a look at what's inside and go over what the plans are for it, okay? So, let me change the camera. I've already opened the box. This is the box right there, just like up in the picture here. Yeah, 1969 Dodger by MPC. Okay, this happens to be the country Dodge Charger. Yeah, fun stuff. Anyway, let me change the camera and we'll go over this stuff, okay? All right, so here's what we get in the kit. I've already taken it out of the bags, okay? So we have right here, obviously, this thing's molded in black, so that's fun stuff. We've got the body and the chassis put together kind of in the, oh, and the interior. 3 pieces. All in one, they've done this for you to kind of Tetris it into the kit. I love the white writing on the roof, like, really? Let's see if I can see the copyright on this. When was this made? 2017 by Round 2 LLC. There we go. So that's what they've made with this. So there's our interior. Obviously not much in there. Really nasty ejection pins, marks on the carpet of this car, but that's all right. That's all right. We'll take care of this stuff later. Let's get this back in here. Doink. Actually, you know what? Because I've got stuff to do on the body, we're going to leave that out. I'm just going to put this over here. Put the body here. What else we got in here? Well, we've got our engine sprue. I'd have to look at the instructions to see what engine is it this car comes with. I don't see valve covers on here. Looks like we got an intake manifold with going to be having dual carburetors, it looks like. Possibly. Nice set of headers. Those are definitely not regular exhaust manifolds. Those are headers. That's kind of cool. That shows performance. This almost looks like it's going to be a part of a roll bar. That's my guess. Next sprue. Looks like more engine parts. These look cylinder heads. Cylinder heads on there. And another intake manifold for a single carburetor. This looks like maybe a center console piece. I'm not sure. And obviously 4 wheels. A couple of pins. I'm guessing these pins are going to be for our wheels to go through here. That's my guess anyway. 2 different distributors. Not sure what that is. Some kind of a... I don't know what that is. I honestly don't know. And maybe steering column? Maybe steering. We got a maybe steering column. We got a hood. These could be the top of the center console, maybe. Hood on here, dashboard and steering wheel, and another I don't know piece. I'm going to remove the hood off of this sprue right now. I'm just going to do this right now because we got stuff to do with the body. Now you notice I clipped it. See how I clipped it like that? That's going to allow me to, this right there, that's going to allow me to file that down and shave it down so it's smooth without stressing the plastic. And that's why I clipped it like that. We're going to deal with that later. Okay, next sprue. Exhaust and rear axle. We got front seats and a firewall. All good stuff. Good. Okay, the firewall I actually am going to remove off of here too. I will explain this all later. Why am I taking a certain few parts off but not all of them? You will see, you will see. Final sprue. Look at that, we got roll cage, radiator, and we've got our bush bar. How about that? We got a bush bar. Why do we have a bush bar? We don't show it in the picture. There's no bush bar in that picture there. So what's going on? You'll see. You'll see, you'll see. Okay. Next, we've got clear parts. We got our windshield and our rear window, and we've got our tail lights, our red tail lights in a bag. I'm going to leave them in here so they're all nicely protected by the plastic bag. Let's put them over there. We have four tires. That's always fun. Tires are fun. I have a bag with a metal rod in it. I assume that's going to be for the rear axle. And we have chrome sprue. Let me get these out of the bag. Looks like we actually got two chrome sprues in the bag here. Let's see. Let's see what we got going on here. We've got 2 sets of wheels. So we've got a set of Craigar wheels, which would have been very stock factory performance wheels. And we've got what looks like these are the same wheels that you get that the General Lee had. And we've got Hemi valve covers. That tells me this is a 426 Hemi under the hood of this car. Looks like maybe a gear shifter, alternator, a little tachometer, our front grille, rear bumper, gas cap. Yeah, all in the chrome sprue. I think what I might be doing is stripping the chrome off of this. I love that this thing's molded in black. I think I'm going to be stripping all the chrome because none of this should really be chrome. I mean, yeah, chrome bumpers. Maybe the bumpers I'll leave, just because. I know a lot of guys don't like the kit chrome, but I do. But chrome needs to be definitely gone off of the wheels, that's for sure. So anyway, we'll deal with that later. What else we got? We have decal sheet. We have decal sheet in the kit. We can do General Grant, General Patton, General Washington, and we're born free, and we've got our flags, but definitely not the flags that we really want. And of course we've got a whole bunch of numbers. We've got decals for our instrumentation, I guess it's for our dashboard and our little tachometer, and a couple of license plate decals, just like that. But I'm going to put those over to the side. And of course we've got instructions right here. I don't know if it tells me anything about the actual car in the instructions. It tells me about what I should do before I start this. This is really, that's it. That's all there is. That is hilarious. That is, I want to say this is like politically correct garbage. That's just my opinion. Politically correct garbage. Because we need these decals. Because we want this authentic to the show. That's what we're doing with this. We're making the General Lee. We're making the General Lee, guys. That's what we're making. General Lee. Okay. So, we even got the little decal for the trunk lid, license plates, the license plate that was on the General Lee, and our 01, of course, because we're building the General Lee. That's what we're doing. We're not just making a generic Dodge Charger. This is a General Lee. So, what are the plans for this kit other than painting this car orange and putting those decals on? Well, I'll tell you. We're going to do some custom stuff to this. And that is why we're preparing some things. you guys will notice I have another video up on my series that dealing specifically with something for this kit, and that would be the engine. Okay, because I 3D printed the engine, and that's what we're doing. So I have the engine parts. You guys know 99% of car models, you start with the engine, right? And that's what I'm going to be starting with. So let's take a look at what I got. Even though this is a 426 Hemi, and that's pretty cool just in itself, 426 Hemi, I've watched a few videos and stuff like that about the General Lee, about the show, things like that, the making of it, all that stuff. And you guys know there's all this kind of stuff. What's the proper orange for the car? It's not an actual orange that was available, blah blah blah. And no two were the same. You look at see all these junkyards of what cars from the show and stuff like that of General Lee's they used. Some are a little bit more red, more orange, all kinds of blah blah blah, and drama, controversy over the actual color of the car. Who cares? Who cares, really? The fact that they didn't use the exact same paint color means you don't have to use the exact same paint color, right? It's your model kit. You painted an orange that looks close enough to you, and that's all you need to do. You want to use Tamiya paint, Mr. Hobby, all those other brands that I can't think of right now. Go ahead, doesn't matter. Use orange. That's all you need. I'm going to be using Pro Scale paint. This particular paint happens to be General Lee Orange. Okay, so I'll change the camera, you can take a look at it. This has been sitting on my shelf for a little while because I've had this plan to build this car for a while. So you can see it's kind of not all one color anymore, so this needs a really good shake up as all the pigment is settled in the bottom of this jar. I haven't even opened it. It still has the plastic on it. So let me start by getting this plastic taken off of here. When they ship these, they ship them in this plastic to keep them nice and sealed so that if there's any chance of it leaking, it's not gonna leak everywhere. They seal the jar really nice, really good. Okay, so not only that, they've got this sealed cap on there to make sure. So there's the orange. Okay, so I'm going to put one of my little metal balls in there. This stuff comes pre-mixed, ready to paint, ready to spray. Doink. Okay, I got to put that ball in there and get this shaken up with my shaker. And I might even need to do this for a couple of minutes to get all the pigment out of there. Yeah, I think you can see it's starting. Okay, but that's it. General Lee Orange, that's what color this car is going to be. As for the engine, I'm going to be using Chrysler 1970 Hemi Orange. It's a different color orange, right? I'm going to be using that one for the engine. So let's get these two engine halves put together here. You might be asking me, okay, so you just said that you 3D printed the engine. Why are you taking the engine out of the kit? What are you doing? Well, I'm going to put the two halves of the engine together because I need the transmission. See, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these together, and then I will be cutting the transmission off of it to attach to the engine I printed. So let's get this off of here, clean that up, clean up this screw. I always find it, it's nice that these, when they try to give you guide pins to line everything up, unfortunately what happens more often than not is the guide pins hinder you from lining things up properly. Let's put some glue along here and get our halves put together. Give it a little bit of a squeeze. The guide pins in this particular kit, they work. We've got a nice good, it lines up. This almost looks like an old top loader transmission, and it very well could be. Very well could be. Okay, so there we go. There's that put together. Okay, and that's all we're going to do for that, because I have another engine to do. I also got to get rid of that nasty looking nub right there from the firewall, even though it's not going to be really noticeable. So you might wonder, why did I take this off? Because I need to primer this, and I'm going to primer the body. I'm going to primer the body, and we're going to primer it in white. Okay, I got to get rid of some flashing on here. We got to primer the body in white because I want the orange to pop. You primer this in black, you're going to have to put so many coats of orange on there. It's going to look like you're going to lose all your detail because you have to put so many coats of paint on there. Now another thing I want to do kind of is, it looks like they've got the little lip here almost for the chrome trim. It's almost what that looks like. And we got a really harsh edge there. I don't like that big honking thing there, but that's supposed to be for that. We've got a big parting line right here. I don't like that either. This is where we get our mold seams. It just looks like crap. So we want to clean that up. Clean up our little edges where we get flashing and stuff like that. This is actually broken off. I got a broken piece here. Okay. That needs to be glued back on. So that's a slight unfortunate little thing straight out of the box. It's broken. So let's take a good look at exactly where that needs to go. It needs to go right there, and I need to re-glue that. Put a little pressure, can hold it like that. Okay. Let's get glue and glue that in. It's unfortunate. That we had a broken part, but gluing it back, that'll be fine. It's never going to be as strong as the mold, but that's okay. We'll live with that. The important thing is that it's going to get glued on there and it's going to stay. Okay. I will say they've done a good job at making our wheel wells look nice and thin. Okay. A lot of kits, you know, you got real fat. You can really see how thick the plastic is in the wheel wells. This one's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, a little bit up here. Could use a little bit of love to thin that out on the top of the wheel wells, but they're not bad. Of course, this side's nice and thin, and then this side's really thick. So, yeah. It's the same here. This is thin, but this is thick. So yeah, a little bit of love there with a Dremel. Clean those up, clean those edges up. This part here, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be connected or if it's supposed to have that gap. I don't know. I don't know. I just know we got some work to do on the body. Alright, put that aside. So, where's our engine? The engine I'm using. we need to get rid of this glue because the engine is made of resin. I 3D printed this engine. And we have all of our parts right here. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to assemble this today. And get this ready to have some paint on it. Now I have the block and the heads and the front cover. I printed it off like this. This is not assembled. I printed it like that. I printed it pre-assembled like that. Got our intake manifolds, got to go on top here. Kind of like that. We've got valve covers going on here. Valve covers got to go on. That's what we're going to deal with today. That's what we're doing. Got an oil pan. I want to kind of match the oil pan if I can. Doink, there's an oil pan there. But we need the oil pan for this engine, which is going to go on there. Okay. I need to check. Sometimes these old cars, the front of the oil pan, the sump is in the back. Sometimes it's in the front. This one, it looks like it's a front sump pan. So I need to keep that in mind, where the engine sits on the frame. Let's grab the frame. It actually doesn't look like it matters too much. I will say the mold for the underside here is really kind of chunky. I'm not sure what all this, look at that, all those scratches going on. Is that supposed to be wiring? What the heck is with all those lines going back and forth on that fender well? That is crazy. This side looks much better. It looks a lot more like real stuff going on there, like wire harness things. But we still have like, what is all this down here? Like, seriously, what is that? Like, what have they done? This just is so not a really nice crisp mold at all. But yeah, anyway, that's our chassis. I don't think we're going to have any issue really with the engine. The transmission's got to go in like that, I guess. And the engine's going to sit something like this, right? Something like that. Let's see. Step one, the first step is actually they want us to put tires together, but we've got a lot of work to do on those first. Step two is doing the engine. And you see we got optional dual carbs, so you got dual 4s on your 426 Hemi. As far as aligning the engine, there is nothing to really guide you. They don't show you. They just show you, plop it down in there and don't give you any indication of any guide pins or anything like that to line it up. Isn't that fun? That is fun. There's no pegs or anything. There's no holes. Nothing lining this thing up on the front. It is total guesswork. Except it's not. Why isn't it not guesswork? And I'll show you here. If we grab our rear axle and exhaust, get this off of the sprue here. Okay. And put this roughly where it's supposed to go, which would be just like that. That puts our drive shaft into that spot there, where we now know we got to line up our transmission to that drive shaft, which means the engine sits just like that, right? So now we know how far forward the engine's going to sit. Okay, so if I just kind of hold it, that's where it's going to sit. Okay, just like that. That's how it's going to sit. Just like that. Okay, which means the engine block is just sitting on top of the frame there. Just sitting on top of the frame. Which gives us indication here where that's going to go. Which also means I can put this oil pan on as a rear sump instead of the front. We don't want to have this backwards like this. Although that was common back then to have a front sump pan, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to do rear sump. Okay? Okay, so let's grab our CA glue. Because this is resin, your regular Tamiya hobby glue is not going to work on this stuff. So you need to have CA glue. And why do I have it in this tray? So that I can keep all my little parts together in one spot. That's why I have it in this tray. So I'll get my little CA glue container here. Let's get this bottle opened. My glue is getting ready to be at the end of its service life. And it's clogging up on me in the bottle. It's turning into gel is what it's doing. It's still got lots in here, but it is just the way it is. I just put way too much in here. So let's just put that there. And get it off of the threads here. Ding, 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 ding. I even have something weird going on with the bottom of my bottle. I don't know what's going on there. It's almost like it's expanded and trying to leak. It might be time to get some new stuff. Okay, get my patented little applicator here. And I have a support I need to get off the side of the block there. There we go. Alright. We'll put some along our lip where the oil pan is going to make contact. Now I'm using CA glue. You can use 5-minute epoxy if you want. And in some cases a 5-minute epoxy would actually be a better choice because CA glue gives you like a 1.5 seconds of play time to line everything up. And 5-minute epoxy, well, it gives you a couple minutes. There we go, oil pan's installed. And I see I've got some glue trying to leak out, and I don't want that. Okay, next, let's go with our water pump. Water pump's got to go on the front. I have my water pump here, and he's going to line up kind of like that. Yeah, not kinda, but just like that. There, there. Okay. Just like that. Water pump's on. We need a cover for our water pump. I have that in here somewhere. That is it right there. Now this was pointed down, so I need to make sure this is flat. So I'll grab my file, just make sure we've got a flat edge on here. just like that. Okay, it's a little bit hard to hold, so I'm going to just put the glue on the water pump itself. I'll try to line up the holes to the bolts. Just like that. Okay, we've got our front water pump cover on. We've got our crankshaft. Got a couple little blemishes where I had supports on there, so let's just clean those up. Get that smooth. Side here where the supports were holding it to the build plate, just clean those up a little bit so they're not sticking out. Very rarely do you have supports that don't leave any blemishes. That's the thing with resin printing, is there's always cleanup to do. I'm going to do a little test fit in the hole. It's a tight fit, so I want to just kind of file this down a little bit, get that shaft a little bit better. And that's what I mentioned before about the dimensional accuracy when printing this stuff. That's something you need to keep in mind. Dimensional accuracy when you need to assemble stuff, especially when you've got things like pegs going into holes. That's an important part. You always want to have your peg fit in the hole, right? If the hole is too tight or your peg is too big, that can be a problem. As much as it is nice to have a tight hole, still a little bit, yeah, it'll go. But where it lines up, I don't know. So I don't want to glue this in yet until I've got a better idea of, like for example, our water pump pulley. I'm not sure which one is our water pump pulley, because I have an alternator pulley, I've got a tensioner, I've got all kinds of different things. Our alternator needs to go on. And remember, I was looking at printing this off as one piece, and that would have been an option, and it probably would have been the better option to print that alternator off on the water pump, because now I have to glue it on, and that's just not going to be quite the same strength as if I'd actually printed it like this, right? So the alternator's got to go on there, but I can put the alternator pulley on it. I should have a little short pulley here in my... So the alternator pulley shouldn't be very long, although it might be. I really only have two pulleys left. One's water pump and one is alternator. That one doesn't really want to fit in there. That one does. But I think the smaller one is for the alternator. Let's worry about that later. Let's deal with intake manifold. I already know with our intake, it should go like this. It's kind of a nice thing. We've got holes in the heads to tell us where to line everything up. So it's going to go like that and line up there. So we just want to get it straight, just like that. Okay. All right. So let's put I'm going to put the glue on the intake. On the intake side. Alright. Get this lined up as close as I can on my first try. Here we go. Our intake for our 6-pack is on there, right? Mentioned doing a 446 pack. Okay. Valve covers. I have chosen the Moroso, or not the Moroso, the Mopar valve covers. One there, like that, and one on that side. One has the hole for the oil filler cap, and one doesn't. Oh no, they both do. That tells me, I think, there's our oil filler cap right there. I actually needed 2 of those, and I only printed 1. I only printed 1 of them, and I need 2. And I'm going to be using the exhaust manifolds out of the kit and not these, even though our exhaust ports are not going to match, because obviously we've got the 1 and then 2 close to each other, and then the exhaust manifolds in the kit, they are evenly spaced, so it's not quite accurate. But I don't want to use these because these are just exhaust manifolds, they're not headers, and I want to use headers. I want that performance thing going on. Okay, next we have our, I believe it is our oil pump. Goes here, or that's for the oil filter. Fuel pump, that's what this is, and that goes right here on the side. So we're going to do that one. A little glue there, and goes right here. Getting it tight on there. There we go. There we go. We're lined up now. Press that down a little bit. There we go. Okay. So where does our actual oil filter go? I think it goes there, but I believe it actually goes onto this little adapter. So the question there is, how does the oil filter orient onto this? Does it go back like this? Like, I know the oil filter goes onto this thing, so let's just do that. Let's grab our oil filter. I gotta clean up the bottom edge of our filter here. This has got a little bit of a rough spot where the supports were on it. a little bit rough. So we want that smooth. Smooth and flat. Okay. We'll hold on to that. Get a little glue. And then our piece, where'd that piece go? There it is. There we go. Press it tight. Okay, oil filter's on. Okay. Oil filter's on the adapter. Okay. Just like that. But how does this actually sit on the block? And I have a couple of things. Like here's another pulley. It's not really a pulley. I don't know what this is. It looks like maybe it's an idler pulley. I also have a water neck. Water neck's got to go on there. That would be for the radiator hose. That's got to go on top there. A few of these things I could have actually, in the slicer software, I could have aligned them up and assembled them before this. And my part just came off of my finger here, which tells me I didn't have it glued that well after all. And that is part of the glue telling me, hey, you really shouldn't be using me that much anymore. I want to retire. That's the glue telling me it wants to retire. So just suck it up and go to the store and buy a new bottle, will ya? That's what it's trying to tell me. Because when it gets to a point where, you know, you need to start using some accelerant on it, well, maybe it's time to, you know, when your instant glue is no longer instant, you got a problem. Instant glue is supposed to be instant. That's why it's called instant glue. When your crazy glue has lost its crazy, crazy glue is supposed to be crazy. It's in the name after all. So I'm going to use a little accelerant on it. I don't like spraying this stuff. I prefer to just use it like a dropper and just kind of do that, let it do its thing. Just spray it and then I get it everywhere and I hate that. Okay, so that should help out. And let's do the same thing on our oil filter to make sure this is staying. Well, it does dry really quick, but I still like to use paper towel or a Q-tip or something. Okay, let's get a valve cover on there. The irony of this being so old is that this used to be super thin and runny CA glue, and now it's turning into a gel. Press that valve cover down. Here we go. There's one valve cover. Right. Lined up. Press that down. Here we go. Okay. Again, I want to make sure this is good. There. All right, so we're getting somewhere. Our engine is getting assembled piece by piece. We're getting there. Okay. Now, the starter motor still has a support sitting on it. And this edge is not very flat, so we've got to flatten this edge out. We're just about out of time here, guys. Now the starter is going to go on this spot here, just kind of in like that. And that's where it's going to mount to the transmission. It kind of just sits in that spot right there. So I just want to make sure it's straight and leave it in there. Okay, so put some glue in that little channel where it's going to mount. Grab it again, put it right in there. Want it flush and straight. And that looks like it. And of course, just like that. Good job. All right. So we still have the alternator, we've got the belts, we have a distributor. Distributor's got to go in. But really, I've already pre-wired the distributor. Okay, so that's what I've done with the distributor there. Okay. Drilled some holes, put wires in there. Okay. Just like that. So the distributor on these things, it goes on the front and goes in the top. There's a hole there. Let's just do a test fit, see if that fits in there. Doesn't really fit, or maybe it will. Oh yeah, it's gone in. It's going in a little bit. So I think what I just need to do is maybe drill out that hole a little bit bigger, because the distributor seems to be a little bit tall. I mean, maybe it's supposed to be sticking out that far. I'm going to have to look at maybe a few reference photos for the rest of this installation. Simply because putting the alternator on front here, like this, and then our crank pulley, that's not the crank pulley, that's probably water pump, like that's just way too far out. I think the water pump pulley is supposed to go all the way through, and our alternator pulley should go through a hole. So I got a few things to do, such as drill holes. Like, I need to put a hole in the front of my alternator here for the pulley to actually go in. Now that hole's probably not big enough for that. No, not big enough. So I need bigger drill bits. I also need to look at how the oil filter is supposed to be oriented. Okay. Come on, I know I've got bits in here. I did the wrong end. No, I've got another pin vise where you take the front of it off and you've got your spare bits. There. This one happens to be the back end. Let's try this one. Get in there. There. Let's drill this out. Okay, so our alternator pulley should go in there now. Nope. So close, but not quite. Almost. Almost. Why are you so much of a pain? I think I have to step up my holder for my bit. Going next size up on my drill bits. Even that's, I've gone bigger than this bit. The next step is just use a knife. Don't worry. There we go. And that's where the pulley should go. The pulley should only really stick out just a little tiny bit on that, or even be flush, you know what I mean? Which gives me a better idea of how far our pulleys are going to stick out on that and get them lined up. So the alternator pulley is going to have to stick out a little bit, I think, because I got to get this pulley. This pulley's got to go in here. I already got that. This is not a problem. The crank pulley is not an issue at all. In fact, if I were to say that's not the crank pulley, yeah, it is. No, that's not our crank pulley. This is our crank pulley. Crank pulley is going to sit like right on its edge almost, just barely in there. Just barely in there. This pulley has to go in here, but I need a bigger drill bit for that guy to go in all the way. this bit is too small. And I think even this bit is too small. It's just barely enough to fit in there. So I need a bigger bit, which might be this guy. That's too big. I have my other pin vise. Where are you? You. That's pretty close. Let's drill this through. There. Oops. That was not intended. I did not intend to break that off. But that just shows me what I need to do. And that's the size of the hole I need. If I were to put that pulley in backwards, that should fit in that hole. It doesn't quite fit. I'm running out of time here. I'm running out of time. If you can't drill the hole big enough, make the pin smaller. How about that? That is sometimes your only option. File that pin down, because I've obviously got a little bit of blooming where this was being printed and cured close to the build plate. Almost. I need to drill that out. I need a slightly, just ever so slightly bigger drill bit. But I need to get going. I need to get going, which means this is where I need to leave it for today. We're gonna have to just do a little more work. I will do the little detail work on this, getting our little holes drilled, and I'll do that off camera. And but when we come back, we'll install the last few little bits and start getting some paint put on this thing, and that's what we're going to do. In the meantime, off camera, I'm going to primer the body in white. Okay, I've got some white primer. I'm going to do that while off camera, so that next time you can see the body and it'll be all white, and that'll be cool. Yeah, so I want to thank you guys for watching. You can check out my other video where I kind of describe how to actually do your 3D printing, or at least the starting process of it. And as you guys know, I'm going to be doing other things, not just the engines, but I need to print off the base for the CB antenna that goes on the trunk, and I need to do the air horns for the General Lee's signature horn sound. I want to do the horns that go underneath the hood, so I want to get that done too. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for all your support. Leave a comment down below if you feel like it. Let me know what you think about this stuff. If you want to see more 3D printing stuff, let me know about that. If you'd like to learn more, I can share my plethora of knowledge that I have learned in the last 6 to 8 months since I started 3D printing. Yes, if you'd like this stuff, hit the like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And you can check out the description box for some links down below. And thank you again for watching and joining me on this. And we'll see you all in the next one.